Hey, what's up, YouTube? Wanted to make a video about gratitude. Just some thoughts I had. I was having trouble sleeping and just wanted to think out loud for a bit. So, if you read self help, self improvement type books, you'll hear about gratitude a lot. And from what I understand, it's pretty scientifically verified too that if you're grateful, if you keep a gratitude journal, for instance, that you'll be more likely to achieve your goals. You'll be more likely to be happy. And it makes sense. I mean, what is happiness but spontaneous gratitude, right? When you just feel good. And yeah, it's like organic. Where sometimes when you're depressed and people tell you to be grateful or you're telling yourself to be grateful, it just feels artificial and it feels it's hard to explain. It's like I think we all have had the experiences, a child, certainly adolescent, where a parent will be like, "You should be grateful for everything you have." Like, you know, children in Africa are starving, or when I was growing up. And the thing about gratitude, it doesn't really work like that. You can't really be forced into it. And if we admonish, if we're admonished by others or we admonish ourselves the wrong way, it can kind of almost feel like we're being silenced, like our complaints, our doubts are illegitimate. And I think it's possible to be grateful and dissatisfied at the same time. I think that's really the only way progress is made. If you're just overwhelmed by dissatisfaction, then you're kind of impotent. You can't really do much from that place because you have no foundation. You're just sinking and sinking. Whereas if you're trying to tell yourself you should be grateful for everything, I find it hard to believe that that's not denial. Because if you're grateful for literally everything, then by definition, where could you go from there? If everything is great, how can you improve? So I think it's important to feel how you feel and really understand when stuff sucks. But you can be grateful for that too. You can be grateful that you have sadness and loneliness and even anger and rage about certain things in certain situations, because it means you're alive and it means you have self-esteem and self-respect, that you want more for yourself. But on the other hand, you have to be careful with dissatisfaction. I remember when I was at boarding school, I was 16. It was a really horrible place I was at. It's been, for years, it was under a lot of pressure for various abuses and whatnot. And finally, they did shut down in 2001. But so I had a lot of legitimate grievances there. I mean, a lot of the kids did. There was a lot of fucked up stuff going on. But yeah, I don't remember what this kid was complaining about, but he was really making a case for some injustice that was going on. Or I think he was making a comparison about his life before he went to this school. And I remember I really let it get in my head. I was kind of going through my day. I think the whole dorm was in trouble, so we were doing work crews. We were like out shoveling stuff and just doing manual labor. And I remember thinking like, yeah, this is really messed up. And I remember it really ruined my day. Now, the moral of the story is not that I should just be a happy sucker, like just accept my lot and be happy in the face of injustice. But I mean, you kind of do have to do that sometimes. It's tricky. I think you always want to keep that kernel of wanting more alive in you, but you can't let it eat up your whole mind, your whole emotional field. Yeah, emotions are so hard to describe because there's always so many going on at once. And I think one of the skills of life is to create a hierarchy and figure out what emotions you want to dominate you and what emotions you want to follow the lead of the dominant emotion. And I think gratitude can be a good dominant emotion, but it can't, I'm like personifying gratitude. It can't be like suppressing. Like you just can't suppress. If you're dissatisfied, you can't lie to yourself. I mean, you could lie to others, although I don't think that's very good either, because when you lie to others, you might think you're inspirational by being like, my life is great, look at me, but you're actually just making other people A, think you're fake, or B, if they believe you, then they're going to feel worse because they're going to be like, oh, why can't I be happy and grateful all the time like this person? So I think gratitude is a good dominant emotion to have, but you have to also be real with yourself. And if you've got problems and you see stuff that's wrong, you have to try to fix them, but keep that, try to maintain that gratitude over everything that happens, even when you're suffering, even when you're sad, even when stuff goes terribly wrong. I feel like it's a good foundation. I feel like it's just a solid place to spring back from when you fall down. And if it's really hard to be grateful, I think eliminating the things that you think you should be grateful for, but can't get access to that feeling, I think that's a good idea. So say you don't feel grateful for your spouse or your family members, take time away from them, or do a thought experiment where they're dead or they abandon you. I have like this deep gratitude in the wintertime, not so much in Florida, of course, but for when I really stop and think about it, when I put on like clean socks, it's a strange thing to be grateful for. But the reason I am is because when I was 18 and I ran away from boarding school, I was like homeless for a couple weeks. Now I wasn't like homeless like some people, they're just 100% homeless. Like I had no money, but I was able to like utilize the social services and get a really, really shitty motel room where like the sink came out of the wall and there was this like light brown liquid all over the wall that looked like blood. I remember it's called Fitch's in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And I would go to the homeless shelter, or there was like different soup kitchens, not the homeless shelter, there was different soup kitchens I would go, like churches and stuff, where I could eat at least 2 meals a day. And I like survived like that for a couple weeks. And but my clothes weren't clean. I think I washed my clothes in the sink with like a bar of soap. And I had various misadventures. I didn't stay in Massachusetts, actually. I stole some money. I feel really bad about it, but I stole some money from a gas station. I didn't rob anybody. I mean, I didn't stick up anybody, but I like just opened the register and took like $40 so I could take a bus back home, but then I couldn't stay at home. with my parents, so I was like sleeping below a restaurant in the basement. Anyway, it was rough, but other people have had it way rougher. But the moral is that because I went through that experience, I appreciate what it's like to have clean clothes, warm, clean socks out of the dryer specifically. So, yeah, if you have trouble appreciating having food to eat, you could do a fast for 2-3 days, unless you're pregnant or really messed up. Like, going a few days without food is not going to hurt anybody, and in fact, it's really good for you generally. Unless you're, like, again, seriously underweight, or you have a baby inside you. And yeah, if you feel like you're in a haze from being on the internet too much, and it's like an awesome thing, but it's also like sucking you into the screens and using it as escape, try to take a break from that for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days a week. And then if you can't do it, don't beat yourself up for that. I think that's another thing that the science seems to show, is that when you beat yourself up and you get in a shame spiral, it's actually ineffective. It actually makes you feel worse. Kelly McGonigal, yeah, she's a cool lady to look up on YouTube. She wrote a couple of books, I think, on why shame is ineffective. So, yeah, I had many more thoughts on this, and there's more I'd love to talk about and share, but I don't want to go too far into the rabbit hole of my life and make myself too vulnerable. I think bringing that up is another important point. I think that you have to appreciate what you can do. And that's why I'm going to title this video, Be As Grateful As You Can. And don't be ashamed or embarrassed that you can't be more grateful, that you can't appreciate your life more. It's hard. It's hard because we're these like tribal creatures who's like in evolutionary past for like 99% of our history, we were in groups of like 100, 200 people. And those are the people we compared ourselves to. And generally within such a small group, there's got to be at least 1 or 2 things that you're the best at, or that you're competent at, or that you're respected for. But in our hyper-connected world today, I mean, it's easy to feel like you're nothing. Like, anything that you're interested in, you could go on YouTube or Instagram or whatever and find people way better than you'll ever be, who started at a younger age than you, who just have it way more together than you. And it's easy to feel like you're on a low level. But I mean, if you care about something, in some internal quality or some external skill, chances are you do have competency. And if you're thinking about it all day long and working on it, you have learned things. And it's important to like pause and reflect on what you have learned and the skills you do have. Because if you just get overwhelmed and feel bad about yourself, you're not going to have access to the good qualities you do have and the good things you have learned. And and I think gratitude is a skill, and you have to practice. And if you're used to motivating yourself by how shitty you are and how much you want to improve, it's exhausting. It's an exhausting way to try to better yourself. And pain, especially ineffective pain, is just not fun. So you're going to try to find a way to escape from that pain through escapism, procrastination, food, drugs, alcohol, other people's drama and problems. And yeah, I keep trying to tie this back to gratitude. And I think you can even be grateful that you're not grateful. You can even be grateful for the dissatisfaction, grateful for being pissed off, grateful for, you could spin anything in a way to be grateful. You could say, hey, I suck, and I'm glad that I think I suck, because if I didn't think that, then maybe I would be stuck forever where I'm at now. I don't know. I think people should, there's a dichotomy people have, that you're either gentle with yourself or you like push yourself and you achieve things. And I don't think it's a dichotomy. I think to push yourself to achieve things, you need to just accept yourself where you're at and love yourself where you're at. And from there, go take care of business. Because if you're striving externally for self-worth, and you think, oh, if I just achieve this, then I can love myself, it's like, it's not going to work, because once you get to the next level, you're still not going to be satisfied. You're still going to think, well, I mean, I pushed myself so hard to get to here, but I know there's so much higher to go. So I still kind of suck. And I'm still like much weaker or lower or less together than so many other people. So why should I be happy with myself here? If anything, I know so much more. Kind of like Einstein said, supposedly, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know, and the more I realize I don't know. Terrible. But I'm not going to edit this in the spirit of, nah, screw it. I should edit it. I should learn video editing. But I don't have to feel too bad about this video right now. I just can look back on this and realize how far I've come. Yeah, I'm hoping my friend David can teach me some video editing and programming skills. So yeah, that about wraps it up. Just be as grateful as you can, and take care of yourself and the people around you.